What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another review video. Big shout out goes out to Aon for reaching out to me and asking me to review one of their electric scooters. This is the Glide MAX model. In this review, I'm going to go over everything there is to know about this electric scooter. I'm going to talk about the specs, we're going to do a speed test, a brake test, and I'm going to ride around and talk about the riding experience. There will be chapters down below, so feel free to skip around to whatever part is of interest to you. But first, let's get started with the specs. So what we got here is the Aon Glide MAX electric scooter. It features a 900 watt peak hub motor in the front, coupled with a 48 volts 13.5 amp hour battery. Aon claims that this should give you a range of up to 40 miles depending on riding mode and riding conditions, of course. We have 200mm by 50mm tire in the front, as well as a puncture-proof PU foam-filled rear tire, coupled with a drum brake in the rear and electronic ABS in the front. This scooter also has a front spring suspension, a pretty sturdy folding mechanism for easy transportation and storage. Up in the front we have a small headlight as well as a 400 lumen LED light bar. That's nice. The total weight of this scooter is 31 pounds with the max load capacity of 250 pounds. And up on the handlebars we have our thumb throttle, our display with the on-off switch and mode selectors, and over on the left side we have our rear brake, our NFC card reader, a dedicated cruise control button, and a bell. And that is pretty much it for the specs. Now, as far as the price, this scooter is currently going for $689, but I will have a discount code for you guys where you can get $50 off. You will also receive this very sturdy phone mount, which is very nice quality, as well as a front mounted bag, which I just don't have installed, but it will come with those two things. Make sure to check that out in the description. Now, is this scooter a good value for money or not? That is exactly what we're going to find out today. But before we start, just a few things that stand out to me right off the bat with this particular scooter is, one, it comes with 2 NFC cards. Hopefully you guys can see that. And you do need these cards in order to turn the scooter on. I'll show you that in a little bit. The second thing that's interesting about this scooter is these handlebars just fold like that, which is kind of cool. So it makes storing very easy, as well as transporting. And when you are done, see, just lift it up and they will snap into place. Now, they do have a little bit of play in them, nothing too crazy, but there is play, and we'll see how that affects it as we test it. Alright, now as you can see, I've switched locations because I'll be completely honest with you, this scooter is more for like minor commuting, maybe riding around your paved neighborhood streets. And this is like the perfect example, like a bike path or something like that. So that is the reason I have switched locations. But anyways, let's do our speed test. But before that, I just want to show you the starting procedure. Pretty simple. We have this M button over here. You hold that for a few seconds and the scooter will go into P mode. This is when you grab your NFC card and place it over the reader, and the scooter will turn on or become active. And once it is, we have 3 power modes. There's low, medium, and high. We're about to test high. So I got my GPS app open, the speed reset. We are in mode 3. Let's give this thing a go and see how fast we can go. The claim top speed is up to 26 miles an hour. Let's see if we can get that. As far as the takeoff, got pretty decent takeoff. It doesn't yank you back, but it gets up to speed fairly quick. We're already at 23 miles an hour. We're gonna give this thing a little bit of time to catch up. There we go, 24 miles an hour. It is a little bit windy. I hope that's not going to be affecting our top speed. But as far as power to weight ratio, even though this is a small motor, this thing flies. All right, let's stop and see what kind of top speed we got over here. All right, so it looks like our top speed was 25.4 miles per hour. Hopefully you guys can see that. That is pretty decent. I mean, again, they say up to 26 miles an hour. And what that really means, it's that speed is gonna vary, of course, with rider weight and like conditions outside. So keep that in mind. I weigh about 160, so I was able to get 25.4, which, to be honest with you, on a small scooter like this, feels like you're flying. But anyways, that was our speed test. Now before we do our brake test, just a few things for you guys to know. I started doing my brake tests from 20 miles an hour because it kind of gives me like an accurate or even playing field across all of the scooters and e-bikes that I review. Second thing is, this is a drum brake, which is pretty interesting, and it could be adjusted as well. This is how it came out of the box. I did not touch it. Third thing is, it does have electronic ABS. But with all that stuff being said, let's go ahead and get up to about 20 miles an hour. So this pole coming up, I think I'm at about 20 miles an hour. Brake in now. Okay, I'm pretty sure I was about 20 miles an hour. I hit it from this pole, this post right here, this pole. You can see my skid mark. And we're looking at an average of about, I don't know, 18 to 20 feet or so. All right, let's give it one more shot just for science sake and see what happens. Trying to make my way up to 20 miles an hour. And feels like we're at 20 miles an hour. I'm braking in 3, 2. Wow. Oh wow, you can see my old skid mark, and my new one is maybe 2 feet, a foot and a half longer, but it felt like I was a little bit faster, so I'll give the scooter the benefit of the doubt. But we're looking at an average of about 20 feet stopping distance from about 20 miles an hour. The wheels did lock up, and you can definitely tell that electronic ABS is working. Now it works pretty well because it's not that harsh, because the motor is in the front, and if it was very harsh you'd fly forward. So it's very gradual and works pretty well. And that was our brake test. Now let's talk about the scooter itself and the riding experience. The ride itself is pretty nice. I mean, it is a little rough, not on this surface. On this surface it's fairly smooth, and the geometry of this thing is pretty decent. It's really low to the ground, so you can like carve with this thing. You feel very grounded. As far as speed and power, it has plenty of speed and power. Look at this right here. Look at that smoke coming out. Tires smoking. So it's got a lot of power for its size. And that motor, even though it's so small, it's a feisty little motor. As far as the scooter itself, it is a super light scooter, and that is one of the highlights of this thing. It is very, very light. So if you're transporting this thing, it makes life a lot easier, especially with those folding handlebars that I showed you guys earlier. Especially if you have like a last mile commute where you're taking a bus and then riding this as a part of it, or a subway and then riding this thing. It is very light to carry around, and because it's so light, it makes this thing very zippy. Now they do claim that this has like a front spring suspension, and if you jump on it, it is there, but it's very stiff. It's a very stiff spring. Now I weigh 160, so perhaps somebody who weighs more than me, the spring will like work better. But for my weight, it's very stiff. It only activates when I really push down on it, but I do feel it. It is there. As far as the handles, as I mentioned earlier, that little play that they have in them, it's honestly not a big issue. It's more secure than you may think. I don't really feel it rocking back and forth or making me feel unsecure on the scooter. Yeah, this thing's so zippy. Let's see, can we do this? Oh my god. Yeah, this thing is fun. It's fun for what it is. It definitely serves a purpose though. As I mentioned earlier, this is like last mile commute, riding on like paved roads that are fairly smooth. And I'll be completely honest with you, when I was testing a little bit of the scooter at the Volted Adventures testing ground, even though we do have a road over there, the road is very rough. It's seen better days for sure. It's filled with cracks, and you could definitely tell that it was a rough ride, especially because it does not have suspension in the rear. So this type of scenario, that's when this scooter actually really shines. Now as far as the board itself, the deck area, you hear that working? The electronic ABS sounds good. The deck area is very large. So it might be thin, it's on the thinner side, but it's very, very long. Now, I wear a size 10, but this shoe is on the large side. Hopefully you guys can see that well. And I can easily fit 2 of my shoes on this thing. And to be honest with you, I do not mind it being thin. Doesn't bug me at all. Now, typically at this point, when I'm at the Vaulted Adventures testing grounds, I do my off-road test. But this thing is definitely not meant for that. It's not advertised that it's meant for that. They're not claiming any of that. And it will just be an unpleasant experience. So I'm going to skip it altogether. So forgive me, but there's no point of me even testing it. But at this point, let's stop and wrap things up. Well, wow. This was definitely an experience I haven't had yet. But at this point, let's do things I like, things I don't like, and we'll give this scooter a rating. Let's start with the good stuff. Things I like. I really like how light the scooter is and how modular it is. What I mean by that is like the folding mechanism is pretty sturdy and pretty easy to operate, and the handlebars folding, that is pretty neat and makes transporting this thing very easy. I also really like the motor. Now, it is a small motor and not a lot of power. We all love more power, but for the power to weight ratio of this thing is excellent. So this thing feels zippy and pretty fast for what it is. I really like the NFC card and the reader on this thing. Now, some people like it, some people don't. I personally like it because it gives you another layer of protection, of security. So for instance, you're taking this thing out to get some snacks to the store, whatever. When you get there, sometimes they'll let you put it inside the store, but if they don't and you leave it outside, you turn this thing off and you got that extra protection where nobody can just come up, turn it on, and ride it away. It will not fully turn on without that NFC card. So I like that. Another thing I really like is this phone mount that it comes with. So if you guys use my link and my discount code, it will ship with that phone mount. That is the nicest phone mount I've ever received with a product. So props for that. But that takes me to things I don't like. Now, I always try to find at least one thing I don't like with my reviews, just so I'm like fair and transparent. In this case, the only thing that I dislike about this scooter is the lack of suspension. So again, it does have that front suspension, it does work, but it's kind of stiff for my weight. And it does not have the rear suspension, which you can tell when you're riding on this thing. Now, I reviewed the scooter over here on this bike path, which is pretty smooth and flat for the most part. And this is what it's kind of advertised for, like maybe sidewalk riding, bike path, and like neighborhood streets that are well paved. That's when you don't really notice the lack of suspension that much. But as soon as you take it on like a rougher road, you can definitely tell that it doesn't have that full suspension. So that'll be the only thing that I dislike about the scooter. Now let's give this scooter a rating, and when I do my ratings, I'm looking at the big picture, the overall package of everything. So for me, receiving the scooter, to unboxing it, my riding experience, and definitely the price. Now, if I was to factor the things of the scooter without the price, then this scooter would definitely get like a 7 out of 10. But when I factor in the price of the scooter, I'd have to rate the scooter a 5 out of 10. And I'm sorry, AON, but that's just me. I have to be honest with my audience. Now, you could get a discount if you use my link and the discount code in the description. You'll receive an additional $50 off this scooter, as well as a front mounted bag, which by the way I don't have installed, but it did come with it, and a phone mount, which is a really nice phone mount, just to make things a bit sweeter. Now, I'm pretty sure I was able to go over everything there is to know about this electric scooter, but in case I missed anything, please leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer. If you guys want to see more of these reviews, and there are plenty more coming, definitely hit that subscribe button. But that is pretty much it for me, guys. My name is Tom. This has been the Aon Glide MAX electric scooter review. I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.